Welcome to Snohomish Real Estate Insider, your go-to real estate podcast for agents, buyers, sellers, and investors. We dive into market trends, expert insights, and actionable strategies to help you succeed. Whether you're growing your business or making informed decisions, we've got you covered. Let's get started. Here's your host, Kevin Wick.
All right, welcome back. We're here again with Joanne. I'm glad to have you again this week. I'm glad that you're spending time from Mexico. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be talking about how to prepare a listing and present it to the public and to the agent population in a professional manner.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Perfect. Well, so why don't we just really quick just share a little bit about your background and why I'm having you talk about this.
My background. So I've been in real estate for almost 20 years, and the entire 20 years with Bob.
Okay.
So I love doing this. I probably for the last 7 years, I've been doing transaction coordinating for a lot of different agents, which is great because I get to know the different personalities and styles. I've been reviewing broker now for 6 years. And I forgot the second part of your question.
Just how you got to where you're at today. So,
yeah.
And you answered thoroughly.
Right,
so
good.
Perfect. So let's go in and talk about now. If an agent is going out to go on a listing presentation, they've now secured the listing. Now what do they do?
Now what do they do? Well, hopefully they got their forms all filled out. But my suggestion would be go to your transaction desk, create your new file.
So this is even before they take the listing. Let's go ahead and create that file.
Yes, if they've got the basic information, yes, they can get it created. It automatically populates if they use a tax ID number, puts in the seller's names. Then you can add the forms. We've got great templates in there with just the basic forms that are needed and required by the office. It's easy to add forms to it. You can type out the listing agent's only required to fill out the 1A exclusive agreement and then the listing input sheet, but you have forms that the seller needs to fill out, so you can have those uploaded. You can send these forms directly to the sellers and saying these forms need to be filled out.
Explain that a little bit further.
Oh, okay.
Let's use the Form 17 as an example, which is the seller's disclosure statement. So how does that work? They go into transaction desk and they actually send that form directly to the seller.
Yeah, so basically what I do as a transaction coordinator when I'm setting up a new listing is I go into that agent's transaction desk. I have all the forms there if I need to add a 22J or any other forms that need to be added. And then I send an email to the sellers and state, these are the forms that we need you to fill out for your upcoming listing. And then they receive an email with a link to it so that they can edit it. So they do it electronically, they save it, and then once all the listing paperwork is completed, what the agent needs to fill out and what the sellers need to, you can send one email to everybody and everything gets signed at one time. So then you've got your entire listing paperwork package, and then you can upload your listing directly from the transaction desk with that magic upload transaction button, which will tell you if you have any errors on your listing input sheet. And then once it's all signed, then you can upload your supplemental documents to the MLS listing.
So an agent in advance is able to have the seller just check boxes because it's an autofill form for the Form 17, the 22J and 22K and the 22E. Yeah, and so from that standpoint, so the sellers are going through and checking what they know about the property. They're disclosing their lead-based paint rights and stuff like that and everything like that. And then it's coming back to you, and then you're sending it back out for signatures once they've filled out these forms.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know several agents, they get that done, and then they usually go have another meeting with the sellers, so that they're there in case the sellers have questions on how do I save this file,
Right.
or I don't understand this question, and am I a citizen? Am I not a citizen? Which box to check? So that it works out because then they look very professional and prepared that they've got everything right there in front of them.
Now, what's the minimum timeline? So once again, the agent signs the listing. How much time should a listing, or how much time should an agent give themselves before they actually make this listing go active? I know it's going to vary,
it's
but
going to really vary. But I think if you give yourself 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Because sellers are usually thinking, okay, I've got to move, I've got to pack, I need to do all this other stuff, I need to get the house clean for my pictures. It does take time to get your photography appointments set up.
Right.
Different escrow and title companies, sometimes you get everything in a day, sometimes it's 2 days. But give yourself the time so it's not rushed.
Yeah.
and you look a little bit more professional if you're all put together, and then you're not calling your clients at 10 o'clock at night and say, oh my word, we forgot this and you have to do it right now, or we're going to be behind the 8 ball. I think the biggest thing I see is when the sellers or the agents say, oh, the 22K utilities, we'll just send it to you and sign it.
Yeah.
But people don't realize that if they ask escrow to do the utilities, the seller now has 5 days for mutual acceptance to fill that out. By now, they're getting overwhelmed with emails from escrow to sign into their portal and fill this in and fill that in. If it's filled out at front, they don't have to worry about it. You look more professional to the buyer's agents because they've got that information, and it's a good tool for them to give their buyers that when you close, here's your piece of paper. You can contact your utilities and get them switched over to you.
Yeah. So right now we're in an active seller's market. So why don't you list off the forms that should be attached to a listing that really separates the good agents from the agents that aren't as
your legal description.
Legal, of
Your
course.
Form 17.
Of course.
Your FERPTA, which is required.
And what's the FERPTA?
The 22E FERPTA is the foreign, it has to do with if you're a foreign citizen, the taxes, because the government, it's a horrible thing to say, they don't trust people.
Fair enough.
And if the person is not a U.S. citizen, escrow has to hold X number of dollars in escrow to pay the tax on it. Whereas if you don't have that information and it closes, the buyer is now responsible for paying those taxes, not the seller.
And escrow is required to do this. This
Right.
is just a required form. So we got the FERPTA form, which is the 22E, 22J if it's
If it's a
with
lead-based
paint.
paint,
So if it's built prior to 1978. So what about a septic form? Is that something that you'd
Nope.
have attached?
No,
Not necessarily.
no. So in our templates, all we have is the.
Well, no, I'm saying if they have a septic, would
if
that
they have
be
a
a
septic,
form?
yes, that would be an idea.
Yeah, just because that way you're
Yeah.
disclosing, because you're going to have the as-built attached. You're going to have all those
Yeah.
types of documents. Would you have a title report attached if you have it?
When you order title, they send you a preliminary title report. Absolutely upload that preliminary title to the supplemental docs.
Okay. What other things would you attach to the supplementary docs?
If it is on septic and the sellers are on the ball and they've already had it inspected and pumped, upload that report.
Right.
Anything extra that you know that the buyer's agent's going to ask for down the road, have that in there. I just uploaded a roof warranty and the warranty brochure
Okay.
for an agent that they just had a listing go live today, and they said, oh, we should probably include this so they know it's a new roof and here's the warranty and it's transferable to the buyer.
Cool. Well, now, is in today's market, is it normal for people to get pre-inspections on their proproperties?
More and more, yes.
Why do you think that is?
Kind of twofold.
Okay.
It shows the buyers that the sellers are being proactive. We have one agent that she gets the inspection report, and then the sellers go through and fix it. And this inspector goes back out and makes notes on the inspection report that this was called out and these have all been fixed. The flip side is, when I was an agent, I used to tell the buyers, still get your own inspection because the inspector works for whoever's paying their bill. And you're as a buyer, your inspector's going to be looking out for you. Seller paid the inspector.
Right.
So.
Well, I definitely know in today's market, with the number of properties that are going under contract without inspection, is actually increasing right now,
yes.
and a lot of that has to do with the pre-inspections that are done. But it's also a matter of you're in competition. So I think 31% of the contracts in Snohomish County are in competition. There's multiple offers on the property.
Right.
So from that standpoint, some people are they're waiving inspections because they trust the seller's
Right.
inspector and everything like
Right.
that. So which is a bonus, but for sure. So what other types of things are you getting your listing prepared to actually present it to the public in a professional manner?
Good pictures.
Good pictures,
Please,
excellent.
good
yes.
pictures. I've seen so many with iPhone photos, but get your pictures. The Matterport videos, they're really awesome. A lot of people are doing the floor plans, which people like.
I know with Matterport, one of the features that they have is you can actually measure the rooms in the Matterport program, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So little things like that make a difference because the public are able to look at that and go, this.
Right. Or the 3D that you can
Yes.
move around and stuff. Those are really cool
absolutely.
too.
Yeah. So, and then What other kinds of things? So you're getting your listing ready. What, you already mentioned it, and I'm kind of hinting towards it, is, you get a pre-inspection, getting the work done in advance. So actually making sure that you're not going to have any problems once you get the property on the market and the contract comes in. You're not going to have any problems after you get it under contract.
Yeah.
So any appraisal issues, speaking of appraisal issues, what's the number one appraisal issue that most agents experience that's avoidable?
Comes in low.
Well, I was actually
Or work orders.
I was actually
Yeah.
going to go with the carbon monoxide detectors.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, as crazy as that is.
Okay, when I was an active agent, I always carried a couple in my trunk so
Yeah.
I could plug them in,
Yeah.
and hot water tanks to
straps.
strap.
Yeah, those happen so many times, and it's so avoidable. It's because it's required, and because it's required, you just have to kind of just get it done. So absolutely, yeah. What other kinds of things do you have in mind? Because I know you prep a lot of listings, so I would definitely say you're an expert.
And it went out. Gosh, right out of my head. Sorry.
That's right. So now you get all the paperwork prepared in advance. Why is that important?
So you're not scrambling last minute.
Okay.
So you know if there's any errors on it. Easy to make changes before. I have one that we've redone the Form 17 about 4 times because different things came up there. Oh, I forgot this. I need to change it.
Right. It's also nice from a buyer's agent perspective to go in and be able to look at the attached documents, know that you have all the forms that are required forms that you're going to need for this transaction because of the age of the house or whatnot.
Right.
And you just have it all taken care of and be done with
Right.
it. So.
And another thing you want to add, if you've got your HOA documents and your resale certificate, have it on there. It saves so much time down the road for when am I going to get them? Well, you've already received them.
And
Have I
time
signed
starts
this? Yeah,
is the
time
nice thing about
starts,
it.
and everything's just complete, and you're not having
Yeah.
to keep track of everything. And then I'm just going to throw in contact information.
Okay.
Make sure you've got, and this helps escrow out, is make sure you give them your clients' phone numbers and emails, because I see more emails back and forth between, I need a phone number, I need an email. And if you provide it up front, that's easier. It's making escrow's jobs easier.
Right.
You're not having to go through your emails and send it to them again. So the more information you can get up front and done, the easier it's going to make
And
life.
educate your clients. Let them know that you're going to be receiving these emails from escrow.
Right.
And they're important. You actually have to fill out the forms and get all the documents
Right.
that they're going to need as well.
Yeah.
So your job definitely begins at multiple points of the game. So for sure. So well, great. Well, I really appreciate all your time that you spent on this. I know this is definitely not an all-inclusive list, and
No,
there's
tip of the
lots of
iceberg.
other things. I mean, you can write offer sheets for agents and attach those and tell people how you want offers written or everything like
Yeah.
that, and all kinds of stuff like that. We didn't want to go into the weeds on that type of stuff, but yeah, it's just a good basics from that standpoint. So I appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you.
All right, very good. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for tuning into the Snohomish Real Estate Insider podcast. Tune in next week for more market trends, expert insights, and actionable strategies. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.